But no, Beth York goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.
Hey everyone, it is Beth York with CVRcade bringing you Zone K racing today. We have a great lineup for this 4-race Omnium. CVRcade races 4 races in an Omnium, ranging from low skill to high skill, and the points differentials are 2 times multipliers, 2.5 times multipliers, and right now we are on the low skill event. You can see the riders warming up on course. It is Electric Rush, which is a insane, crazy course that is fast, corner caper ability, quantum shift ability, uncrashable ability, and of course, 1 comeback kid power up. So we've got a stacked field. We've got Allison in the mix. We've got Rick in the mix. We've got Frank and Tammy and Jeff, Timothy, Thomas. We've got a full roster. Niels is in there. Jennifer is in there. Jesper's in there. Let's check in with Jesper. Jesper, just over 2 minutes to go. We're trading places here. I'm on the mic. You're on the bike. How are you feeling going into Electronic Rush?
I'm excited. I see we've got a newcomer in the racing today. We got a Jose in here. I mean, that just makes a smile to my face. Hope he does well today.
Welcome, Jose. Any words of wisdom for our new rider, Jesper?
You're going to be a K cadet. Aim for the win, but don't. If you're out in the front, don't go too hard. Bring it back. Have fun. Get to know the platform. You are a K cadet. You're going to need to progress up through the ranks.
All right. Words of wisdom. Good luck, Jesper. Glad to have you out there. We also have Jennifer Garcia in the mix. Jennifer, newly named Team Hive, and I am going to now refer to you as the Queen Bee of Team Hive, particularly with your astounding performances. How does it feel to be fully named now, not TBD anymore? Oh, I'm not hearing her. Ooh, the suspense is going to kill all the viewers. Oh, that's okay. Well, we'll just have to wait just over a minute to go. Timothy Termont, I will pose the question to you, the fearless leader, the soldier of Team Hive, the Hive Master himself, the Hive Master General. That's what I'm going with. Under a minute to go. How is Team Hive feeling after the team racing earlier this week?
Yeah, we're good. I was actually hearing Jennifer on Discord, but not on VMix, so I think that's going to be fixed real soon. But no, yeah, last Tuesday was really fun in the team head-to-head league. Yeah, we're just going to continue that here, work together as a team and see how far we get.
Well, good luck to you, Timothy. Just about 30 seconds left. We also have Sebastian Kuhn warming up here. Sebastian, Team Cognition in the mix. His teammate Allison also out there in the mix. I'll talk to you after. It's only 20 seconds to go, Seb. I want you to be focused on the racing. I will come back to you at the end of the race. I imagine he and Allison are also on team chat. Allison not in the broadcast today. Seb being our representative from Team Cognition, also a force in Zone T as well. So nice to see you out in Zone K. Nigel, Team Velocity here, was an absolute beast, up out of the saddle, taking it to the front, making sure that he does not lose that front group, digging in. This is the low skill event, and what that means is that you cannot crash. So in terms of knowing the corner speeds, in terms of being able to worry about some of the other dynamics, it takes it off the table. The drafting dynamics are quite severe, and if you miss that front pack, you are going to be spit off the back, but you do have one comeback kid if you can make it back. It does look like Tim here is also in the front. Tim Fulford, Team Cycling Hub, one of the highest esteemed, maybe the most winningest besides his teammate Quinton of the Cycling Hub teammates. And then here we are with Jesper out on course, also making that front pack. Again, We did hear we have a couple new riders. Jose, it was good to see you here. I'm looking through the riders list. I've got a whole scroll. Jennifer back in here. I know we'll get her microphone because we do need to hear from the Queen Bee. 2 kilometers to go. If you are watching us on Mixer, this is CVRcade Racing. These riders are riding physically on their bikes. Their power on their pedals are driving their avatars through the game. And this is Electronic Rush. Power Up, Comeback Kid by Timothy Tremont. You can see him here using that power, that animation under his wheel there, just a couple seconds off the back here. That might have been intentional from him, where he did let himself. Nope, it wasn't intentional. He tells me he's just trying to get on back. Well, we know that different tactics are deployed here using the comeback kid, and sometimes you can get enough momentum and fly through the pack. 1.3 kilometers ago, here we are on board with Frank Garcia. Further down the way, Jennifer Garcia does her comeback kid. I can see that in the list down there, but right here, Frank Garcia holding court, making sure that he stays with this group, not wanting to let go. Thomas T also in there, Jennifer in there, Tammy, well done. Glad you guys have made it out. But Frank on the front here, holding back Allison and Tim. A little bit of changes to the front with the drafting techniques here, side by side with Frank and Jesper here with 0.8 kilometers to go. And this is where the fireworks are going to start to happen. We do see Jennifer still using that comeback kid. Frank on the front, Rick up there with him, Nigel, Sebastian, Casey, Jesper. This is going to be a pack. Who is going to bring the sprint? Who's going to time the sprint here? I'm watching the list. I'm trying to figure out who is going to drop that power. It does look like Rick drops 500 power. 500 equalize what? Sebastian also over 400. But Frank and Casey on the front. Ben just trading places here. 0.2 kilometers to go. It's going to be Jesper up out of the saddle. Will it be Frank? Will it be Jesper? Who will it be? Frank's in position 2. Frank moves to the top. Can Frank hold it? Will it be overtaken by Allison or Rick? But Frank, does he take it to the line? It does look like he did. I'm going to have to check closely at that leaderboard, but we do have the replay here, where Frank did come across the line. He was duking it out in the front. And again, on this low skill event, it does matter when you time it. Here they are side by side. Jesper, you can see them watching the screen, making sure they're positioning themselves correctly in the peloton. And then when they drop the power, I didn't see a big burst, and maybe I missed it, but sometimes they can sneak up on you while you're watching for other things. But it does look like here on the scoreboard, it was Ben, Timothy, Allison, and Frank. Frank took 4th there. It's so close to call. Fractions, 0.4 Frank is always good about telling me what the differentials were on those scores, but you can see digging out of the saddle, both Frank and Jesper side by side, and they did there 1 through 6. All right, so Timothy Tremont in 2nd position. Ben is not on the stream. We are coming into our next race. That first race was a one-time multiplier. Timothy, how do you feel going into this next race?
Oh, really good for Ben getting first there, me second. Really happy with that. Jennifer got dropped, and on that course, it's really, really hard to get back. With all the twists and turns, yeah, you're never really fully in the draft. So if you're not in that like very small group, like a meter behind, you're immediately so far out of the draft. So it's really hard, but yeah, I managed to get back with a comeback kid. And then, yeah, good sprint there from Ben.
Yeah, and you nodded to me too when I was saying like, oh, maybe that was intentional, because I have seen racers drift back. Have you ever found that to be successful? I know Aaron has found that to be successful, where you drift back just a little bit. Have you found?
It's situational. If the group is that big, it's impossible. It's not a good tactic, so it's just sprinting. But if it's like a smaller group of 6 riders, maybe max, you could do that, especially on this track, because they're not really getting full draft, because it's so twisty. So if it's like a group of six riders max, I think it's definitely a tactic. But if the group's that big, nah, no way.
Not going to make it. Not going to make it. Gotcha. Well, that's really a good tip here. We've got just about 4 minutes before we start this next Roman Arena low scale 2-time multiplier, 2 laps. Uncrashable is on, 2 weight lifted, 2 path of least resistance. You've got Ben number 1. We've got Timothy number 2. I wonder what we're going to see from Team Hive. Does Jennifer have her audio back? Because we did miss her, and I promised to go back to her to see. And if she doesn't, that's okay. But we've got Team Hive position 1 and 2. We've got Allison Kubota, and she is in 3rd place for Team Cognition. Also has Sebastian here. Maybe they'll get something together in this race. Let's go ahead and check in with Frank if he's available, sitting in 4th place. Frank Garcia, I thought you had it there on the sprint. You were dancing on the front with Ben. You did your do-si-do, but that was a one-time multiplier. What are you bringing into this next race?
We're bringing the heat. So I think Hyde's going to be chasing me, and I always can go pretty fast when the Hornets are after me. So we're going to lay down some rubber.
Lay down some rubber. Okay, Frank. So that is the dynamic, bringing the heat, laying down the rubber. Let me just see what your what Jennifer has to say about that. Jennifer, do we have you back on audio? I know that I've been trying. I want to make sure I get your perspective here, especially when your dad is saying, "Hey, I'm going to lay it down." Are you there? I'm not hearing you on the broadcast. You must be in, it's okay. You must be in your team chat, and that is okay. No worries. I'm going to answer for you. Frank, Team CVRcade, look out, because the Hornets, the Bees, they are out to play. The Queen Bee is going to be on your wheel, and she's going to be prepared for whatever punches you pull. Let's check in with Sebastian. Sebastian, there, you have Allison in the 3rd position. Are you in communication with Allison right now about how you're going to play this race?
It's a short race, and there are a lot of races on the course, so with Uncrashable anything can happen. So it makes no sense to do great tactics before. You have to see how the race goes on.
That is a wise man. Let's see what's going to happen. It's not going to be a 2-person break. Hold on to the front, respond, react, and then be proactive. I like it, and it also gives nothing away. Keeping those cards close to your chest. I have to ask you, how are you feeling today? Are you dead or are you alive?
I got totally dizzy on the electric rush with 70 k's per hour in the blob. I did not even see the finish line or the finish banner. I just have to get a clear view now.
Yes, you do get a little bit of tunnel vision, and I hope you've recovered and can kind of relax a little bit more, which is, I know, not a really real word that it comes with CVRcade, but just under a minute to go. Good luck to you, Sebastian. Good luck to Allison. We also have Jesper. Jesper, just under a minute. Any words here? How are the legs after your 2nd workout today?
Oh, I suck. I was like, I got this. I look up, I'm like, 6th? Oh, I suck. So 2 laps, team cycling up, Team Hive, CVR. This is going to be like a heavy match, a heavyweight match where it's going to be haymaker after haymaker. If you are still standing at the end, regardless of your result, you've won.
Well, good luck. I wouldn't say you sucked. That was under 20 seconds to go for the next race. I would say that when it comes down to the line, it's fractions of seconds. It's fractions of seconds. Seconds. Under 10 seconds. Here we go. Will it be Rick and Frank that make a move? Will it be Jesper and Nigel that make a move? Will it be Jennifer, Ben, and Timothy who make a move? What are we going to see with these team dynamics? We know that Frank had said he's going to lay down rubber, and he did not lie. Boom, with the power-ups, weight lifted right there out of the gate, power up there, gives himself that quick acceleration. He is the Einstein behind the physics here. He knows exactly what weight lifted is going to bring him. He does a 1-2 punch with the weight lifted. He said, I am really going to lay down that rubber. 6 seconds of a gap on Timothy to start the race. 177 on his heart rate. Timothy on the chase there, smiling. He's got Sebastian on his wheel saying, okay, all right, I'm just going to pace this out. I'm going to let Frank go off the front, but I'm going to control the power here. Ben comes around him. Ben does bring along another cognition rider. You can see the 2 velocity riders in the mix, which is Jesper and Nigel. We'll check in with Nigel at some point, but Frank was not kidding. He has now made it 15-second gap on that front group. I think we're going to see a new personal best from Frank if he keeps digging in like that. 300, 400 equalizer. exercise watts. This is 5.4 kilometers to go, and he has already busted it open with the back-to-back weight lifted. Now, he still has 2 path of least resistance, and I haven't seen any of the other racers here in the pack that are chasing him drop any of the power-ups. I can see they're just lining up. They're all getting themselves in position, and then the lone man on the front, will he be able to hold that 17 seconds? You heard from Sebastian coming into this race that with this many people on the course, it wasn't going to be, ooh, I just saw Jesper lighted up on the front, that he was going to be responding to the action. Jesper's animating the race here, making this chase group work, saying, okay, guys, we're not going to just all sit in and get comfortable. Let's go get Frank. And so he is communicating to the group, you're not going to catch me if you don't make your move now. And with this pack chasing, you can see some other power-ups being dropped down the way within the peloton. They need to go get him. You can see he's like, beep, 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 beep. He knows, he sees people on the keyboard. He's kind of thinking, maybe I'll do keyboard on the next race. I know that this is his second workout of the day. We see this on CVRcade. We see people coming into the races with other races under their belts. We know Homer races like 3 omniums a day, but Frank is still off the front. Jesper has closed it down to 7 seconds here on board with Tim, also sitting in the group with Casey and Jesper. Tim holding Timothy back, and Christian Wegman also in the group there. Allison there, Rick, Jennifer, Sebastian, Niels, Tammy, Jeff, all the way on down here. Quinton is looks like he's in the race. Looks like he's just riding a little more comfortably. Jeff Rooney's out here as well. But we have a great race shaping up here on course here. Frank still on the front. Jesper drops another power up. Tim up out of the saddle, also trying to close that 2 or 3 second down to Jesper. You can see on the right hand side there what's happening. They're coming up over that little climb here on this course. There's not really a lot. Casey comes on his wheel and they get a little bit organized. There's not a lot of climbing work on this particular course, but there are a couple places where we do see some attacks here. But Casey moves in with Tim to Jesper. You can see Christian also in here with Jesper. Christian and Jesper, both Velocity, wearing the Velocity shirts today. Casey comes around here, might try to step in between and act as a pacer here between the 2 riders, but it doesn't look like he's going to move in. Jesper settles in a little bit and is getting himself, is catching his breath after that massive launch that he did with Path of Least Resistance. You can see the riders moving to the inside here, trying to get around. Tim comes around the outside there. And Jesper also and staying in that group. Frank on the front still by about 5 seconds, but Christian, Timothy, and Tim and Casey all are getting organized, and they're all going to close it down and make it together. A little bit further back, we have this chase with Timothy and Ben. These guys, you can see Timothy there closing it down, but behind is Ben, Allison, Jennifer, and the rest coming around the first lap. 1 down, 1 to go. If you are just joining Mixer, this is CVRcade racing. These racers are racing on their bikes. They are driving pedals, the power to their pedals. Their pedals are moving their avatar through the game, and these efforts are real. Now, you can also play this game on a keyboard, which we can also see racers do, but right now, the riders that we're on, we've got Frank on the left. We've got Tim on the right. Side by side, you can see their avatars. Tim goes up out of the saddle, adds a little power here. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, some lighting up there with their power-ups, trying to close down that gap here. But Tim trying to connect to Frank with that early attack. Off the front of the race, we know that Frank said, I'm going to lay down the rubber, and he did. And he had a 15-second, almost a 30-second lead when he took the pack off the front there, and he did make Tim respond. Tim does close down the gap. Timothy Termont about 5 seconds back with Casey, and then a couple seconds back is Jennifer and Rick. Here's Timothy Termont. He is the Team Hive creator, founder, master. They just unveiled their new esport kit. Super cool. I know they're out on order. We're going to see that right now. He's a pink avatar, but he's got this yellow and black kit that's going to be a new skin in the game, and it's going to have it in real life as well. So he'll be matching his avatar, matching his skin in the game. And now it is on board with Jennifer, also Team Hive. Jennifer is Queen Bee of Team Hive, who's been absolutely explosive in the racing right now. She finds herself in the chase pack, but not that far back. She finds herself just about 8 seconds back from Frank. She's got Casey with her, Timothy, Christian, Rick, Sebastian, Allison. There's quite a little group here that are all trying to jockey for position. And just like if these racers were outside, there are drafting dynamics. And so if you are riding behind someone through an environment outside and you're behind them, you're getting a little bit of a draft. Ooh, Ben with a move comes around. Team Hive just out of nowhere drops the path of least resistance, kicks it up to 54 kph, 189 on his equalized heart rate, and he is on a mission. Who answers but Rick? Also tries to grab his wheel, pulling along the Team Cognition riders as he goes, but Tim has overtaken Frank. Tim and Frank in the front, and Ben has said, enough is enough. I am going. It's up to you if you want to come with me. Rick does seem to be answering, not quite enough though, 46 kph, and then boom, Tim on the front. You can see on the right-hand side just lighting it up there. Also here, a little bit of a fight coming up that climb. This is the one section on Roman Arena course. This is the second race of a 4-race Omnium. Whoa! Looking down the board, everybody's lighting it up on that little climb, trying to make up the difference here. But Tim on the front with Frank, 181 on the heart rate. Tim, 194 on the heart rate. So when you look on the right-hand side, the racers, the physiological effects of these efforts, their hearts are pounding. 200 is the max number that the game has recorded. So if you go to a track and you run as fast as you can and you sprint and your heart is pounding out of your chest, that's how hard these guys are working, because they have been racing on this platform for months, and the game is keeping track of their heart rate, and the game knows exactly how hard they are working. They know the max, and at 192, Tim is just 8 heartbeats away from his max. Frank does drop back a couple seconds here, a little bit of recovery if he can, but Tim says, this is the time that I'm going to move, Frank. I see you resting, and I am going to push on the path of least resistance. But Frank up out of the saddle, 700 equalized watts. Will he make it on the close? 0.2 kilometers to go. Tim is 700. It's not going to be enough. I think he's going to run out of road. He did overtake Frank there right before the line, 0.1 kilometers to go. And that is the finish of race number 2 by Tim. And Frank takes second position there. Who is going to take third position further down? Allison. Allison takes third position from Team Cognition. So a little Duke fest between Tim and Frank on the front. For that finish. He did overtake him at the end. And then we have Jennifer also crossing the line. And then we have Timothy Termont closing the line. So that finish, and here comes Jesper coming across, taking a sip here. Yay! That's a second workout of the day, and Sebastian as well. So that is how it is. If you look at the leaderboard, and Nigel here is also coming. This Nigel here, yeah, I see you, Nigel, catching his breath there on this race. But here is the replay here on the finish line. Here was not quite enough for Timothy to overcome. 1, 2, 3, 4 riders come across the line here. On the replay here, this is where Ben executed his path of least resistance, punched away from the group. You can see here on the final stretch, the path of least resistance, that attack by Tim to say, I am not going to let you catch me by the sprint. Frank let him go by a couple seconds there, and might not have seen that final move. I know he was expecting it, but he pushed so much out in the front of this race to get that 15-second gap, and Tim closed it down. Let's check in with Tim. Tim, congratulations on that race. You shut down a huge gap and then took it to the line. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. And I never do well in low skill events. I don't have the gearing on my bike, nor the cadence being awkwardly tooled. So I mean, I came, I don't know, well down the field in the first one, but yeah, I think that might be it for the day. I know Summit Island is coming up, and I might give it some on that, but dragging Frank back, who was 17 seconds up the road at one point, wasn't all that easy.
That was massive. That was a massive effort. That was very impressive. But I know it's in your wheelhouse to do it again, proving your legs, proving your dominance in this sport. So you're not going to now this medium scale 2-time sci-fi R loop. You've handed it to me in this. How are you going to hold yourself back? Are you going to just keep on pushing?
Yeah. Well, the start of that last race, I was being nicely led by Niels and Thomas well off the back because my niece rang me and wanted to talk before bedtime, but I'm hopefully going to use that excuse again in a minute. But yeah, there's some corners. We'll just see. I might just spot patrol or something, get some tips off Nigel.
That sounds fun. Well, congratulations. You're sitting on the top, just a couple points ahead, point and a half ahead of Frank. Let's check in with Frank. You promised to lay down the rubber, and that's what you did. You had a massive lead off the front. I would imagine that you were feeling that towards the end. Were you surprised to see Tim when he made the close the gap?
No, he had a controller player on, Casey, who pulled about half of the gap back. Otherwise, I had that one running away. Good play on their part, although they profess not to use the keyboard players for that. But that's what the game is about. Made it a super hard workout. And Tim really, he had the gas at the end. I didn't. Allison really made it hurt bad because I thought she was going to pass me at the end, and it was all I had to hold her off by half a second.
Well, we are now going into Sci-Fi R Loop. Now, this course can actually be surprisingly tricky and pretty tough with the climbs. Have you raced on this one before, Frank? I'm not sure that you have.
I have, and I think there's a corner named after a couple of the Garcias, and so we'll see if I don't make that mistake 3 times today.
All right. Well, we will see if we can find someone else to name it after. Thanks very much, Frank. Sitting just a point and a half behind Tim here. Allison, Team Cognition. Ben, Team Hive, not in the broadcast. Timothy Termont in the broadcast. Team Hive. He's got Ben in 4th position. He's got Jennifer in 9th. Timothy, going into this 2 minutes to go, this this medium skill event, 4 laps on Sci-Fi R. What are you thinking?
It's gonna hurt. I might have to join Tim at the bot patrol because I'm doing double omnium. Not that it's an excuse. I should always go full, but yeah, Summit Island's up next as well. So yeah, might be bot patrol for me. We'll see how it feels.
Well, good luck to you. A minute and a half to go. This is CVRcade Racing. If you're just joining us on Mixer, welcome. I see DK Mansuni. I see Calm Tempest. I see Wim. I see Farcard Chips. I see cheering for your favorite racers here, hoping to take part here. I'll be reading through some of your comments. DK Mansuni says, Garcia Corner coming up. 1 minute to go. And Farcard Chips had been playing with my controller. It's good. Thank you for giving it a try. We have a new Journey League. That's right. I said Journey League, not Journey League, Journey League coming up where you can play on controller. So if you want to play, you can race with the physical riders every Thursday. We're going to start that in a couple weeks where one person is on keyboard, non-physical, and one person, their teammate, is riding physical, where you work together and you're going to be able to try to get the scores, the highest score. Just over 30 seconds to go here on Sci-Fi R. It is a 2-time multiplier, 4 laps, 8.8 kilometers, so a longer race. 2 Razor's Edge, 1 inertia, and there is wind on course. The way Razor's Edge work is it allows you to cut through that wind. It makes you aerodynamic so you can accelerate, but you've got that wind, so sometimes that can counteract the wind, and you have an inertia. An inertia is when you press that super, you will stay locked into the speed that you were going when you started. We've got 5 seconds to go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, up out of the saddle. They are out of the gate. On board here with Tim Fulford here, who Frank did say he was using Casey, who's on keyboard. So you can see how that might be deployed here. Jennifer here, high cadence. She's got some new gears, some new shoes. She's been bringing herself consistently in the racing for a few months now. Her fitness is coming up, her equalization. She's just like beasting it left and right. Queen Bee of Team Hive. Love to see her out on course. Sebastian here, always looking comfortable, always looking like a machine, but always very threatening. When I'm racing with Sebastian, I actually feel him breathing on my neck. I know he is there. And when I see his avatar, it doesn't matter if its avatar looks like someone else. I'm like, that's Sebastian. I see the name floating over his head, and I feel the intensity because he is absolutely a monster out on track. And I think we're going to see good things from him on this track because it's long, it's steady, and he has the strength to go long and strong. Here we are on board with Jesper, who is usually on the mic commentating. I usually do the later zone, but we like to trade off so that Jesper can feel the pain, feel the burn, feel the fun, really, of CVRcade racing. He's focused in, he's honed in, he knows this track. He's commented on this track, and this peloton is big. Ooh, someone just went down. Oh, that was Frank. Oh, that's gonna hurt. He did go down. He may have had a lane change. I didn't see that. But as these riders try to get organized, one thing you need to think about. So in the earlier no skill racing here, here's Frank trying to get back using his power up, his razor's edge. He can see the racers up the course there. He only lost a few seconds here, so he's got to make up that time by using that razor's edge. Jennifer here on board with Jennifer as well. She's in that front group with Ben, working together in communication. They can see that there's a little bit of a split happening with the racers in front of them. So Jesper, Sebastian, Tim in the front, and then Ben, Jennifer, and Timothy trying to close it down. Now, these guys have to work together. As these corners come around, there are corner speeds that can really mess you up. Whoa, did I just see a block out of the corner of my eye? I'm not sure if I did see that. Sometimes these racers in the lane congestion, if you don't choose your lane correctly, you can get blocked there. It does look like we had a slowdown there, maybe by, I'm not sure who that was. It was a yellow avatar. I'll have to check the tape on that one. But on these courses, you can crash. And because you can crash, your lane position really matters. You want to, whoa, Sebastian goes down. Oh, that's painful. That's all right, Sebastian. Get back up. You are like the shark. You never say die. You've got your power-ups. You can use those to come back up to speed. It's early in the racing. Other people are bound to make mistakes. But right now, it's Tim on the front. Jesper on his heels just a couple seconds back. On board here with Timothy, just 5 seconds off the front of the group here, trying to make connection with the riders in front of him. You can see they slide out, and oh, Jeff Rooney goes down, the Vixen rider. I think he is on keyboard. Jeff Rooney's on keyboard. I know he's traveling. He's got some other racing to do outside, I believe. So good luck to you, Jeff. He's in here on the keyboard, getting the game down, racing, enjoying the time here. Jennifer on the inside comes around there, and I can see side by side on the front here with Tim and Jesper here. Both of them just side by side here. Not wanting to get trapped behind one another. Tim moves to the inside. Ooh, close one. He almost crashed into Jennifer. Maybe he saw her, maybe he didn't, but I saw that move by Jennifer. She blasted a power up and made her way to the front. 6.2 kilometers to go here. Now, we have seen Tim be in the race and dominate. We've seen Jennifer be in the race and dominate. We've seen Jesper make his way from cadet back up to competitor after a little racing break here. He is always in the studio on the mic. I don't know how much cycling he's been able to do. This is his second workout of the day, but he is determined to come out here and experience CVRcade and enjoy it. And he also, of course, I'm thrilled to see him out there and be here on the mic. It's a lot more comfortable sitting in my studio, sipping my orange soda while he's out there working. But you can see the equalized heart rates. You can see 177 with Tim on the front, Jennifer 187, and Jesper 190. That's the physiological cost of the racing. So let's check in with the mixer chat while we watch the racing here. On board with Timothy Termont, the Team Hive Master. I'm just going to call you the Team Hive Master until we have a better name for you. If we get a business card, I was like, Timothy, you're the team founder. If it didn't say founder, what would it be? I'm just going to say the Hive Master. Timothy Termont. Look at that. Look at that side view there. They're like Ben and Timothy working together here. Let's see. What is chat saying here? I'm not home for the Derny Cup. DK Mansuni says, rats, we really want to see you into it. Oh, and Farker Tips, looking forward to the Derny racing. And if you're just joining us and you don't know what I'm talking about, Derny with a D, it is when we're going to have in the game in CVRcade is when we're going to have one racer that is non-physical and one racer that is physical. And it's and I was educated on what this all means earlier today in the podcast. So you'll have to watch the podcast where we talk all about Derny racing. But right now, Timothy, Tim, Casey, Quinton here, Tim Fulford still on the front, Jennifer here, also trying to make that chase just about 3 or 4 seconds back. But it gets kind of dicey with these corners. You got to watch the corner speed. You got to know exactly where you are on course, and make sure that you don't make a mistake. 4.7 kilometers to go. Lots of opportunities for maybe overpowering a turn. There is wind out on course, which does change the dynamics a bit. You don't know if you're getting that acceleration or if you're being held back by the wind. You're feeling the push. Leaderboard just drops down there. You can see if everybody finishes in the position they currently are in. Tim is on top. Ben is in second. Timothy is in third. Allison fourth. And further on down the way we go here. Reading some more DK Mansuni, but you might still find me in chat. Oh, that would be awesome. We'd love to have you in chat. Jesper up there. Keep going. Crucible, your thoughts about the Derny Cup, Tay Fearless. So Tay Fearless, if you're listening to the broadcast but aren't in the chat, Crucible wants to know, is Tim joining the Paw Patrol? Tim seeing everyone as bot. I'm not sure. He's on the front. He is not on the Paw Patrol. Of course, I told you he wasn't going to be able to not go for it on the front. He's just wired to push. He's a competitor. He's fierce. He likes being at the front, and that's where he finds himself. And he just does not know how to back off or take it easy. The machine that is Tim Fulford, the man that all of these folks right now in the racing are chasing. He's got Quinton just a second back from him there, but Timothy on the pursuit, 1 second back here. You can see the point of view of Timothy. Like you can see here, that he wants to kind of just stay close, but not too close. He wants to benefit from the draft, but he doesn't want to get caught, in the congestion if they're changing lanes there. Tim does slide over a lane or two, said, I'm not going to pull you guys. Allison said, that's okay. So everybody kind of just makes a little bit of a lane change cautiously. These are right now when you have less of a crowd. It's not like we saw at the beginning with like 6 or 8 riders, just 2 or 3 riders. And watch out there. And he sees the move and does not play a victim there. And sometimes you'll see someone controlling the pace on the front, slowing down. And sometimes you'll see a rider in front intentionally slow down. Riders in the front group don't usually put the brakes on the riders because it hurts their own chances. Oftentimes we see the chase pack having some blocks and pace control and some defensive racing holding that chase pack back. But in the front group, you usually see the teammates working together. Although we do have Quinton in here with Tim. Tim is sitting on top. Allison, though, just overtakes it on the leaderboard right now. If Allison finishes this race on top, she moves to the top of the board. So she can pick up some points. Tim just comes up out of the saddle and says, I will not allow that, Allison. I am Tim Fulford and I will not allow it. And he's doing everything he can to work with Quinton here, coming around the corner, minding his corner speed, and Timothy also just enough back. Whoa, Allison! And that is why he is the game master there, Tim Fulford, who forces the mistake from Allison. Allison can feel it. She gets eager. She wants to keep that like a little bit of distance on Tim, and she does crash in the corner, but that's okay. She does have some power-ups to try to make it back here. Timothy, Team Hive, Tim Fulford, Team Cycling Hub, side by side here on the screen. Former teammates, now opponents. So will they get in each other's heads here? What is up Timothy's sleeve? We've seen Timothy on keyboard in nearly every every zone at like 4 a.m. And here comes Ben alongside of Timothy. Will we see some teamwork? We've got 2 teammates up the front, Tim and Quinton. We've got 2 teammates on the chase, Ben and Timothy. 2 kilometers to go. This is shaping up like a nice finish here. Tim Fulford uses his inertia at 65 kph. That is one way that he can get away. He did just open up that speed differential. He did just get an 8-second gap using inertia at that time. So he knows the track, he knows the dynamic, he knows where to use it. But boom, Ben and Timothy side by side, Razor, careful they make their way around Quinton. Do not want to get caught. They are accelerating, watching that corner speed, digging in, trying to close down that gap there. But will it be too much with 1.4 kilometers to go? They're going to have to do a massive effort to close that down. Tim Fulford just showed using how powerful using inertia in the right place can be. Timothy comes around Ben, takes a turn, pulling on the front, and then Quinton uses his inertia and comes around and is going to go take some points away from Timothy. So Tim and Quinton with the team play, Timothy and Ben with the team play, just came up short on the power up there and let Tim get a little bit of a gap here. 194 on Tim's heart rate. That means he's feeling it. He might not be showing it on his face. Like all of us show our fatigue differently. Right now Timothy's head is down. He's focused. That's his race position. Tim up out of the saddle, just sealing the deal. 400 equalized watts, 0.7 kilometers to go. He's got a little twist and turn to go before the finish line. Ben currently in 3rd place with Timothy, together teammates here. And if this is how they finish, which it looks like they will, Tim is on top, Ben will be in 2nd, Allison will be 3rd. Now, Allison had an opportunity to take the top spot on the leaderboard. She did have a mistake there at one of the corners on this R course, but right now it is Ben and Quinton trying to chase, Ben and Timothy trying to chase down Quinton and Tim here. They do have that one last corner here. Timothy pops his inertia. It does wear out just around the corner here. Will he crash out? No, oh gosh, Timothy, I thought you had that just timed out perfectly. Boom, it did just not expire. And Ben comes around him here. Tim, Quinton, Casey does come around Timothy here at the end, but who is going to take it at the end? So Tim does come across the line. Here he is, Tim, showing his dominance here. I'm just going to do the bot patrol. Never mind, I'll just take the win. And then Quinton coming in 2nd. And then finally, then we'll have Ben come around and Timothy with that crash, which was with his inertia, just played maybe a little too late on that climb, but he still does take the 4th position. Ben does take the 3rd, and then Casey on controller does also come around, and then Allison. And here comes Jennifer across the line here. So Tim on top, Frank in 2nd, if my leaderboard is correct here. And then Sebastian here also coming across the line. Congratulations, Sebastian. You've got Team Cognition. And then, nice move there from, that's a great celebration move, Jesper. Yes, we have to just come up with more. Well done. Congratulations, Jesper as well. And then Christian as well with the coming across the line with him. So on the replay here, it was Tim Fulford and Timothy. They were neck and neck at one point. Then it was Tim who activated his inertia on the long straight before the little climb. Was able to get a 10-second lead. It was enough. Ben and Timothy weren't able to close that gap down. So Tim takes the win on that one. And Timothy did have that crash just before the finish line. Played his inertia, probably just a beat too late. But that is how the cookie crumbles here. Ben in 4th place, Allison in 3rd, Frank in 2nd. Tim, that was a little different than hanging with the bot patrol.
Yeah, I decided that if I could hang with the main group at 175 equalized, then I'd do that. I'm quite comfortable there. Someone threw a big rock in that big long straight, which kind of jolted the whole peloton, I think. And I kind of rolled off the front with Seb and Alice, and then it was kind of nice. Thought I'd just sit there and see what happened. Push the issue when there was a gradient, but just be careful around that long corner and stuff like that. But then coming into the last lap, I was like, oh, this really long sweeping corner is a headwind, and I still have all my power-ups. So I gave it everything and got to 65 k's an hour. And I think it was like accidental strategy. And I seemed to get 15 seconds just like that. So yeah, quite nice really. Fresher than I thought I would be. So maybe we'll give a couple of these some idle laps a punch, see what happens.
Well, you know, that was just brilliantly played. 65 kph when other people, the speed differential was massive. Well done to you. You also do well on Summit Islands, 3 laps, 6.9 kilometers. Whew. You feeling fresher than you thought. So let's see what Frank has to say about how is Frank feeling in second position here behind Tim. Frank, are you feeling fresh coming into Summit Island?
No.
Nobody comes into this one. So.
Great block by Team Cycling Hub there. It's fantastic. Really good gameplay there at the beginning. I should have been patient with the block. But I tried to move out to jump on it, and that did me in. So great gameplay there. And just a note out to Tim, some of us do what we say, and some of us don't. Look forward to racing Summit Islands.
All right. Well, good luck to you, Frank. Let's check in with Timothy, who had that crash. He was closing in with his teammate, Ben. Timothy, talk me through your strategy there. Had a little bit too much speed.
1 second, Beth. The game is not loading for me.
Okay, I will come back to you. You resolved that. You're welcome. Here is the replay out on Summit Island. We're on board here with Jesper, who found himself at the front of the race with Tim there. And then it became a race between Timothy and Tim. So it was Cycling Hub, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, 2 on the chase there, Ben and Timothy with Quentin and Tim up the way. Frank did talk about the block that happened. I did see it out of the corner of my eye. I didn't know who executed it. So thanks for filling me in. Sometimes it's hard to see with the number of screens here. That perspective is super valuable. We do know that's a part of the gameplay here. But Summit Island here, 3 laps, 1 weight lifted, 1 wind at your back here. And this is a brutal course. There was that crash we were talking about by Timothy at the end on the final stretch of Sci-Fi R course. 1:30 to go. I'm not sure if Jennifer has audio back, but if she does, we can check in with Jennifer for the Team Hive perspective. But if we don't, not a problem. We have also Sebastian in there who has Allison up in the front. Sebastian, are you available?
Yes, I am.
So you've got Allison in the front. You're racing today. Will you be able to help her maintain that position here on Summit Island?
If I don't crash.
You're on the toughest. I realize I'm coming to you. I know I'm coming to you on the. You 12% right now. What's the gradient?
8%.
8%. Oh my!
I cannot shift.
Well, not with 40 seconds to go. So you're going to see if you can help her out on Summit Island. You get to that start line. The finish line is brutal. Just over 30 seconds. Any parting words?
It's hard for me today. I have the brake issue 2 times where my avatar stops riding. So I don't know why.
Oh, well, we have some mechanicals out on course. I hope you get those resolved, and I hope you can smash it in this next race and help Allison stay on. I know Team Cognition is the teamiest of them all. 5 seconds to go here. We see Tim there getting ready. Summit Island. This track was actually designed by Ben Chulion. Ben, who is currently on the front of the race, Team Hive member with Timothy. Also here, this course was designed by him, and it is one of the highest rotation tracks in CVRcade racing because of the dynamics of this track. You have these descents, and you have these climbs, and you have these technical corners, and you have a finish line that climbs up about 9 or 10%. Now, this is where I know Frank knows how to race this course. You can see him on here using the downhill, making sure he doesn't let the break happen, making sure he makes it through that corner. Not a spot of a bother for him on that course, but here he uses his power-ups. Boom, wind at his back. And I wonder, did he use weightlifted too? It does look like maybe it's just wind at his back there. He does get a little bit of a jump on Sebastian, who also is at the front here trying to pick up some points. Jennifer a second back from Sebastian here. Sebastian on the chase trying to catch up to Frank. It's just a few seconds. Now this is where they do need to know the quarter speed, because on the descent you can overcook it and you can find yourself sliding out of the corner here. Let's check in with the mixer chat here while we're watching Sebastian chase down Frank on the front, just 3 seconds away. 180 on Frank's heart rate, 182 on Sebastian's here. Let's see, DK Mansuni, Cycling Hub is a team to beat this season. Supermarine Spitfire, yeah, also had some issues with the trainer at some point. It went to when he had to restart it. Whoa, big burst there. Calm Tempest says really cool, males and females can compete against each other. Calm Tempest, exactly. That is the truth. It is so fun. My teammate Vibeke, who's been killing it in the races, is not in the racing today. Let's see, Summit Islands. Yes, CVRcade does say that it's a brutal 11% climb right at the end there. And then guess you could say my trainer had a bit of a kicker. Oh, funny. Oh, this guys, thanks so much for joining us in the mixer chat. But Sebastian does come around Frank here out on course, but Tim sitting there trying to dig in. You can see Tim down in 6th position, but Sebastian did come around Frank there. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen, Sebastian getting 3 seconds, 622 on his equalized watts there. Jennifer's also there on the front with Frank. We've got Sebastian, Allison, Jennifer, and Frank, and then Tim. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the places there. Farker Chips, I like the fact that Joe Boggs can compete against Lance Armstrong and potentially win. That is true. That is true. We can. Physical equalization is super cool because the game records your effort, and the person who puts the most effort in and has the best tactics, really. And then, of course, you have to add in a little bit of fitness too. That also builds with the game, and you have just as much chance as anyone else. Let's see. Does Ben give lessons on track building? DK Mansuni, I don't know that, but he's got the talent. He understands what makes a good track, and it would be nice. Maybe he could do a little tutorial for us. We'll have to ask him. Right now, Allison on the front with Sebastian here. So as if on cue, we did see that Allison and Sebastian are working together here to try to leave the rest in the dust. But Tim is just 3 seconds back. He did make his way up to this front group. You can see him here on screen. He can see the 2 cognition riders in front of him. He moves over to the inside lane. You can see the heart rates, 190, really pushing it here, trying to recover on these descents a little bit and watching the speed, knowing when to put the power down, knowing when to actually put the just rest for a second if you can take a couple seconds. Crucible says, I actually hear physical equalization in my sleep. Farcard Chip said, Vibeke is. Let's see. We had Calm Tempest says, no, it's a reference to inner emotional duality. I love these folks in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us in the mixer chat. 4 kilometers to go. Cheer for your favorite racers. Go Team Hive, says Crucible. And Sebastian here digging in, chasing down Allison, and holding off Tim too as well. It's making Tim work, making Tim push it some here. But Allison and Sebastian with 3.8 kilometers to go here on Summit Islands. Tim here, he can see the racers up the course on the right-hand side, not too far ahead. And what I know about Tim is that he uses his legs first. He's always very generous to share his tips and what he's learned through the course of his racing and some of his strategies. And he always uses his legs first and then uses the power up. So right now, he knows what he has. The racers in front know what he has. They've seen him race enough. And so if they can just get enough gaps and hang on to their power ups and not make mistakes, then it will be a fair match. But if they did use their power ups to close on Tim, Tim might have an advantage on this last climb when they come around for the third and final time. Seb on the hunt, says Luis. Luis, your teammate, is saying, go Seb, go Allison. And thank you, Farquhar Chips. And then we love you. Oh, thank you, DK Mansuni. I love the love. I appreciate the love. We appreciate you being a part of our broadcast. I hope you guys, I know DK, you said you couldn't join us for the Journey Racing because you'll be at work. I don't know, maybe you need to take a lunch break with your laptop to Starbucks or something and see if you can play with us. That would be fun. But Tim up out of the saddle here, just about 2 seconds back from Sebastian. He can keep him in his view. As long as he doesn't let him out of view, long as it's just 2 or 3 seconds, he has a chance here. And, you know, there's always, I've been in this exact position where I've had Tim and I on Summit Island turning ourselves inside out, and he knows the tactics and the strategies, and there's one more lap to go. So brutal, but this is the highest multiplier of the day. Seb with his head down, digging in, giving it all that he can. This is hurting. You saw him powering up this climb in the warm-up before the race. It's 11% at the top, running out of gear. Stomp, stomp, stomp. 2.5 kilometers to go on Summit Islands. One weight lifted, one wind at your back. If you use those already, then I don't believe Tim has. So this is like counting cards. Who has what? Who's going to use what when? Just one lap to go. Allison comes along on the inside here. Tim digging in up over, trying to just make a gap. Everybody, 600 equalized watts. They are just like beasting it up that climb. And you can see the physical effort. You can see the amount of work that they're putting in to try to get up that climb. Oh no, and Sebastian does hop off. Maybe he has a trainer thing. You can see his avatar slowing down. I have a feeling he's just ripped his bike off the trainer by digging in so hard on the climb. That has happened to me as well. You can see him taking off his headphones. He's got his bike on a trainer. He drove so much power to it. I'm wondering if his skewer came loose. I'm not sure. We'll have to get a report from him, but that's gotta hurt. So now it's just Allison versus Tim on the front. A little further back. Right now, still Sebastian had enough of a lead. He's back. Looks like he's back riding again. He's driving some power. So he's back on it. He must have just tightened up his skewer. He sees that he has 5 seconds. Boom, power up. He is not giving up. He stepped off the bike, unclipped out of his pedals, and then he said, okay, I'm coming, Allison. I am going to come and steal some of those points from Tim, because right now he does want to get Tim down off the board. Now, let's see. If 2.5 times multiplier here, they're probably in the chat. They've got to come down around the corner here. Just 1.3 kilometers to go. This is the tricky part. You can see Tim coasting around the corner, making sure he bleeds enough speed not to slide out, staying on that center line. It's always interesting to see the speed and the lane position. Just watching Tim is a study in tactics and in racing, because everything he does is pretty intentional. He seems pretty casual about it, but he's a student, and now people try to emulate the tactics that he uses. He slides around the lane. He knows where to make up the time, and man, he is just giving Allison some heat. She can feel his breath on her neck here as she uses her power up to come up around the corner. She drops a power up and she gets up to 31 kph, but Tim is still doing 34, brings a little bit more momentum into the climb. And Sebastian here also trying to hunt it down. He's just 2 seconds back from Tim. Allison uses her second power up there. She uses her wind at her back, and then she used her weight lifted here. She is going 48 kph. Tim 32 here, 0.4 kilometers to go. Rick further down the way uses his power up. So Tim just 5 seconds back, and now he uses his up out of the saddle here, using his wind at his back, pushing it 38 kph. Allison slowing down, 33.3 kilometers to go. Tim uses his second power up, closes down to 4 seconds, 194 on her heart rate. She is digging, she is pushing, but she is almost 30 kph. Tim 40 kph. He is 10 miles per hour faster here. She comes around Tammy. Will Allison be holding on? Oh my God, this is going to be so close. Allison, 1 second, 2 seconds up from Tim. Allison needs to keep pushing. 0.1 kilometers to go. Is she going to do it? Tim does not close the gap. Allison finishes ahead of Tim. Tim plays those power-ups just so perfectly. That is what he's done before, but Allison saw it coming. She said, that move is telegraphed. I know what you're doing. And then Seb, what a beast, comes around and takes it for third. And my goodness, after having that mechanical, that is an exciting finish to the race. But whoa, Allison taking that, not letting Tim overtake her, made enough of a gap. And here we are on board with Jennifer finishing out the race. This race does get stretched out quite a bit because of the ups and downs and the descents and the climbs here. We just saw we're on board with Quentin a minute ago. Now we're on board with Jennifer. Jennifer's having a conversation with her teammate. She's there talking with Ben, talking with Timothy, talking about the rest of the race, and coming up the last little bit of the climbs here is just painful. It feels like it never is going to end. But that was the racing for today, and we're going to stick with Jennifer here for a minute, though. We weren't able to have her on the broadcast audio-wise, but we have here on the screen. Jennifer, nice work. Congratulations. Summit Island is brutal. Whoever designs these Omniums, man, woo! This is like brutal. Finishing on Summit Island. Here is the replay. I was losing my mind. Allison came across the line. She was able to hold off Tim. Sebastian, who had a mechanical, I think his bike came off his trainer. I'll have to ask him what happened. Gets back on, comes within 2 seconds of Tim. He puts down his head, and the only thing I think that separated Sebastian was about to get him. He needed there's a move there of him climbing off the bike, his avatar. At least he was going down the hill when that happened, so he didn't lose a ton of speed. And then it was the move by Tim Fulford. The weight lifted, the wind at his back, the 1-2. He had a 10 kph differential as he passed Tammy to try to get up to Allison. Allison was able to recognize that, and she dug in that final stretch here. You can see on the overhead on the helicopter here, you can see Tim trying to close that gap. But Allison, me holding my head saying, oh my gosh, she's going to do it, because I know what it's like to have Tim on my heels, who knows how to play those power-ups, and she held him off. Well done to Allison. Takes second place on the Omnium. And here are the highlights of the day. Tim Fulford here on board with him earlier today. Warming up on the next event. Tim, congratulations.
Thank you. Massive shout out to Alison on that. Unfortunately, like Seb, I had a mechanical, so I didn't have my little ring, which, as you can imagine, isn't great. So once she got the gap, I tried everything with my last 2 power-ups, but she was too strong. So great finish from her. Always great racing, Alison, because you know you're going to get an honest performance. But all of that hurt in the big rig.
Yes, I do know, especially, and I know you had mentioned your knee earlier there. And then Sebastian, I don't know if Sebastian is, we're going to be changing over to the Omnium L. I don't know if, K and L. I don't know if Sebastian is still on the broadcast. I wanted to hear, but I think he might be gone. We've got new racers coming in to the mix. This is CVRcade World Cup racing. This is the run up to the World Cup. We have got a 4-race Omnium for you tonight. We just finished up Zone L. Zone K. We're moving into Zone L. I've got my alphabet all messed up. We've got 4 great races. Right now, we're warming up on Electronic Rush. Electronic Rush is the low-skill one-time multiplier event. We've got Uncrashable on. We've got Corner Caper on. We've got Quantum Shift on, and we've got One Comeback Kid. The race starts in just under 2 minutes, but after this race, we move on to Roman Arena, and then we have Sci-Fi R loop. And then as you just saw, if you were with us, Summit Islands 3 laps is the 2.5 multiplier of the day. This is the replay of Summit Island. This is what the track looks like. Beautiful, has been reskinned. And this is the finish where Allison takes the line. It is a 11% grade at the top of the climb. We did see a battle between Sebastian and Tim. Sebastian had a mechanical, was on the chase with Tim. He put his head down and just absolutely dug in here. A little bit of words from the chat, just 1 minute to go here. Allison says pink sauce. Farker Chip says, I have legs like the Hulk. We have, pink sauce, Austin, Wyatt, welcome, Allison, woohoo, Team Fearless, Tay Fearless, keep going, Allison, wowza, awesome, another one from DK Mansuni, nice, racing, Allison, Farquhar Chip says, unlucky, Tim, and yes, Jennifer is always smiling, and congrats, Allison, good run, Tim, way to finish strong, Sebastian, from Tempest 420. You can see here me with my reaction there on Summit Islands when Allison held off Tim. That was a great finish here. We've got Quentin in the broadcast. Welcome, Quentin. With just under 30 seconds to go. That's okay. You focus on racing. I'll catch you after the race here. I don't want to disturb racers under 30 seconds here to the ride here. All right, stick around here. We've got 4 more races here. 10 seconds to go. Allison in the broadcast. You just saw her crush it. Timothy also here in the broadcast. 5 seconds to go on Electric Rush. 3, 2, 1, up out of the saddle. You see Timothy going, digging in on this low skill event. And by low skill, it does not mean it's easy. It means that you can't crash. Quantum Shift is on as an ability. What that means is that the racers will phase through each other rather than bump or crash. They will phase through each other. Uncrashable is also on as an ability, and Corner Capers. So they won't slide out of the corners. They won't crash when they change lanes. And the drafting dynamics here are fast. So if you get spit off the back early, you are going to need to use that comeback kit. And if you wait too long to use it, you're not going to catch back on. Homer in the race here. Allison, Quentin, Ben, Timothy for his second Omnium here. Frank also in the race for his second Omnium. Ben in the race here again. So we're seeing Ben, who is doing back-to-back Omniums with his teammate Timothy, all physical today. We did see some mixing it up with keyboards but today physical racing. Timothy, Ben, and Allison, and Jennifer for Team Hive. Allison dominated there on Summit Islands in the last zone, coming back out to play here for Zone L. But it's Homer who's on the front, Allison who's second wheel, and they're going to be floating around back and forth. The dynamics are such that when you're racing this race as a low skill event, you kind of float in and out of the other riders, and you can find yourself in the front and you ease back and you slide back in. So the name of this game is you just can't be caught sleeping. You have to constantly try to moderate your power to get maximum draft while you are racing. 1.5 kilometers to go here on Electric Rush, the first race of Zone L in this. If you're just joining us on CVRcade on Mixer, this is CVRcade Racing World Cup 4-race Omnium. This is race number 1, low skill event, a one-time multiplier here. Back on board with Frank, who's also doing a back-to-back Omnium here. 1.2 kilometers to go. We've got 3 more races coming up after that, and all of these racers are trying to get as many points as they can across the 4 races. So one race isn't going to make or break, but every point matters. And we find that at the end where, if you had just finished a different position in the low skill event, you might have found the outcome over the Omnium being a little bit different. 0.8 kilometers to go. Further down the wire, you see Timothy in the riders list activating his comeback kid with just a few seconds back here. 0.7 kilometers here to the finish line for Homer. Tim up out of the saddle, though, making sure he doesn't lose the group. Frank also there. Homer, Tim, Frank, Ben, Christian, Quinton. This is going to be tight. A little bit less riders than the last one, but boom! Timothy comes around. 0.4 kilometers to go. 60 kph. Who is going to catch him? 0.3 kilometers to go. He's got 2 seconds. Tim Fulford uses his comeback kid. Will it be enough? Will he have enough roads to close the gap? It's Timothy. It's Tim. It's Timothy. It's Tim. And Tim does overtake Timothy, and it does just the timing wise. He does. And then Ben also. Oh my goodness. Tim, Christian, Ben, Frank, as I watched the leaderboard. But that was interesting how that actually unfolded here. We had Timothy floating off the back. We had Tim Fulford responding when Timothy came through. Timothy came through like a bullet. You can see there on the overhead cam, he got about 4 or 5 seconds of a gap. And what that did was that gave Tim Fulford the opportunity to use his comeback kid, because the comeback kid only works when there's a rider in front of you. And then Tim accelerates through Timothy and gets in front of him and does end up taking the win, but also Ben and Christian. So just a little late on that deployment of the comeback kid. Tim, that was a well-timed comeback kid. You saw Timothy go. You immediately responded. Well done.
Thanks. It's probably the only way I'm going to win a low skill event. No, I saw Timothy drop off the back 2 or 3 seconds. So there's 1 or 2 options you've got going there. I either drop back and kill his comeback kid before he gets back to the group, but you've got to hope that Quinton will pull it up. But Quinton's keyboard died. So what I did is let him come through, drift forward into the front, engage my comeback kid. He's not going to hold 500 meters when I've got 300 and something more watts. So yeah, 1 or 2 ways of dealing with it, and luckily it came off.
Well, congratulations on that race. I'm not sure how you had a sprint left after 3 laps of Summit Island at the end. Well done. Well done by you. I want to check in with Timothy, who deployed that. Timothy, it didn't end up paying off. What can you attribute that to?
Well, first of all, thank you for not dropping back to the group, to Tim or somebody else who could have done that. Yeah, that would easily just nullified my tactics there. Yeah, me and Ben were just chatting and testing stuff out. The first part was good. I could have done with maybe going a bit harder when I was coming through the group. So, like, my speed was what, like 61. I could have easily gotten 70 plus there. And yeah, when I saw Tim coming, I kind of just stopped sprinting because the legs, they're not feeling well today. So yeah, just rolled in.
Well, no, I think that was a really good tactic, and this is the time to be practicing and experimenting these things. Definitely. So that's really great. Let me check in with your teammate Ben, who did find himself at the front. So it kind of helped out your teammate there, Ben. Welcome to the broadcast. Congratulations on that 3rd place finish.
Thank you.
So you are experimenting with your teammate, Timothy, Team Hive today. You've been practicing with Jennifer. We're coming into Roman Arena, 6.4, 2 laps, uncrashable ability, couple weight lifted, couple path of least resistance. What are you thinking here in terms of strategy?
I don't know. I think everyone was saving their power-ups till quite late in the last Omnium. I used mine a little bit earlier, still on the last lap, but a little bit earlier, and it didn't really pay off. So I think I'm going to hang on to the power-ups maybe a little bit longer and try and stay in the wheels on this race. I mean, it's just me and Timothy, so it might be difficult for us to really do any damage, just the 2 of us. So yeah, I think stay in the wheels and try and use the power-ups when they'll be most effective. But it's going to be a tough race. 2 laps is quick on this one. It's going to be all out for both laps really.
Well, 2 laps is tough on this one after you'd already raced an Omnium. Good luck to you, Team Hive. I'll let you get into the strategy with your teammates here. Let's check in with Frank, if Frank is available. Frank also in the mix for his second Omnium. I'm not sure if he is planning to race this one or, yep, he's still on his bike. You've got the wind flowing. Hey, Frank. Here you go again. Second Omnium, back to back, another Roman Arena. Last time you laid down the rubber. Are we going to see a repeat of that, or are you going to play it a little different?
No repeat. I'm just went so hard last Omnium. I'm just cooling down the legs and building a little base. So I'll try and sit in for as long as I can on this one, and then probably wave bye-bye to the pack and finish out my day. But you never know. I could get bit by the bug like Tim and go hard and then have to race Summit Islands again, which will really be.
Well, if you want to join into the broadcast, wave furiously at the camera and we'll roll you in. If you're rolling through and you see something in the field that I missed, you let me know and we'll open up your mic and you can help me out as you cool down. But if you're racing hard, we won't make you speak. Good luck, Frank. Thanks for joining the broadcast. Just under a minute to go. If you are joining us on Mixer, this is CVRcade Racing. This is race number 2 of a 4-race Omnium. This is 2 laps on Roman Arena. Roman is a road course. We just saw a fantasy course on Electric Rush, which is a little bit different. This one takes us back to the Roman ruins. We've got Sci-Fi R-Loop coming up. We've got Summit Islands that if you were watching the broadcast earlier, that you saw it on the mythical island created and designed by Ben, who's sitting on 3rd in the leaderboard. We do have a track builder in CVRcade, and he is the track builder extraordinaire, winner of the CVRcade podcast track competition. 10 seconds to go on Roman Arena. For those doing back-to-back races, Allison, who just absolutely crushed it on Summit Islands in the last race, bringing her legs here up out of the saddle. Allison digs in and takes it out to play. Allison Kubota team cognition here. She had Sebastian in. It looks like Sebastian's in this one too. He might be he's on keyboard now in this race here. Maybe experimenting here, a little Durney practice. If you missed the announcement, we are starting a new league in a couple weeks called the Durney Cup, which is different from the World Cup. The Durney Cup, we talked all about it in the podcast, but you can ride CVRcade using your keyboard. Left and right arrows move you left and right. You can add power, take away power. You can use power-ups, and we do see racers coming in on keyboard, and we've had so many non-physical riders riding with the physical riders. We're going to do an entire tournament using teams with one physical rider and one non-physical rider. Did I say that right? One physical and one non-physical. But right now, Timothy Termont finds himself on the front. You see Quentin here just a few seconds back with Ben. You can see Ben up the way in the pink kit. Pretty soon, now there's a little bit of a story to the pink kit, because the pink kit, we were calling them the Pink Panthers. Timothy Termont left Team Cycling Hub to start his own team, calling his own shots there on the left-hand side there. His former teammate Quentin on the right-hand side. And the Pink Panthers is what the a little power up there that he's dropping there. A little path of least resistance here makes it a little less rolling resistance, allows him to come up to speed here. He did say he's going to be trying different things out here on course here. But Team Hive, you're going to see that come into game soon, where the kit will be yellow. If you haven't seen the yellow Hornet Bee, I'm pretty sure you're going to love it, and it's going to be fantastic. And they have the real life esports shirts to match it. That's so cool. It's inspiring to see. But Quentin the Machine, one of the most decorated, I'm trying to think. I have to get the numbers here, but I know thousands of dollars by Quentin that he has won on CVRcade. That makes him a CVRcade Pro license holder. If you have won more than $2,000 in the game for racing in the World Cup, then you get a pro license. So he is one of our pro license holders right here. There are just a few of them at this point. We're so new in the game, and the whole license is just released in the last couple of weeks, when you come to the game, you are a CADE cadet. The game learns about your dynamics. It learns about what your power is, what your heart rate is, and then it equalizes you so you can race alongside other racers. And we are all equalized. So it doesn't matter your age, your weight, your gender. We all can ride together thanks to physical equalization. And once you get past cadet status, you become a CADE competitor, where the system has a high degree of confidence in your abilities, in your equalization. And that is what most of us are. Some of them, like Homer, I think are close to master, which is where I think Ben made a post today, getting closer and closer to that CADE master license from all of the racing that Ben's been doing in the game. So we're watching him progress as well. Here's a replay here where he does drop his power up, come up over the hill there using his weight lifted here, but on board with Timothy, who finds himself in the front of the race by 8-9 seconds here. I'm not sure. He must be feeling strong there. And of course, Ben a little bit further back saying, okay, I'm not going to close that down. I'm going to let someone else work. Anyone else want to go get my teammate? I'm just going to hang back here and let him go. I might be kidding about that, but you know, his heart rate's Ben's heart rate's a little bit lower, but it's Timothy on the front here, 400 equalized watts. Quinton, 600 equalized watts, tries to punch it up to close down that gap. He sees it's just 5 seconds. Let me tell you, when you are 5 seconds and you're sitting in the position, you can see the overhead cam, the helicopter cam, the side view here of Timothy. When you are Quinton on the right-hand side of the screen and you can see the rider just in front of you by a few hundred meters, you are like just like a little tiny cat chasing something shiny. You just like can't get your eye off of it. I'm trying to think of the right examples. You get laser focused on that rider up the course, and you stop thinking about the pain. You stop thinking about how you feel, and you just start to like drill it to try to close it down. Both of them 185 on the heart rate here. Let's check in with the mixer chat here. A little dig by Timothy and see what they have to say here. I scroll up and I go too far, and then I come back here. Let's see. We have Calm Tempest starting to think Tim is a cyborg. That was after the last race. Calm Tempest, we would have to check. He does wear a heart rate monitor, so unless, you know, I'm pretty sure he's human, but maybe he does have a little bit of a cyborg sidecar there. Let's see. He is the Spitfire, said Supermarine Spitfire here. Farquhar, so will everyone gain draft from the Derny bikes? Yes, actually, when you are riding physically, non-physically, you can draft off of the non-physical riders. But what it is that everyone as part of the racing will have their own non-physical rider. So it's not just going to be, you know, random head-to-heads with, you know, people coming in on keyboards. It is, you would have a dedicated teammate that's riding with you physically and non-physically. Here, let's see. Tim is We Are Borg, says Pink Sauce. Yes, those nearby will benefit from the draft. Okay, Calm Tempest says introducing the Tim 2000. All right, I'm catching up. Love seeing the profiles of the races. Helps to see how they are climbing. Cool, thank you. Tay Fearless says, go Frank. We know that Frank is just doing his cool down in here. We're on board now with Allison. Allison, who is Team Cognition. She has been racing, you know, outside for a long time. She loves esports. She comes out to play. Such a big personality. Wears her aero helmet and her shades. She is just known for wearing that skin suit. Her whole persona is just amazing to have on stream. But back here on the front, it's Tim and Quinton. Quinton did close down that gap to Timothy here. Jennifer Garcia says, good move, Timothy. That I'm a little late on these ones. I'm getting there. Come on, Double T. Calm Tempest. Okay, good time. Good work. Okay, work time. Good luck on the races. Looks like Calm Tempest had to go. Everyone else says stay positive, enjoy life. See you all next time. Thank you, Calm Tempest, for joining. You might have already left here. I appreciate it. Nice to see the riders in the chat too. Jennifer Garcia. Mouthy Beef says, hi, Jennifer. Okay, we've got that Queen Beth. Oh, thank you, Lancero Storm. I appreciate it. Off we go. So, whoa, it does look like Nigel came out to play here. Comes around the front here with Quinton and Timothy. Says, I want to join join the party. So Nigel, who ripped it and shredded it. I don't know how he has any legs left after Tuesday. If I were Nigel, I would be, and he's on a keyboard. Okay, he's on a controller. I was like, if I was Nigel, I would be on a keyboard. And I just see that he is on a keyboard. He's on a controller. The way you know, Mixer, what these racers, aside, now you obviously see Ben here up out of the saddle digging, and you can tell he is on his bike, but underneath his name is the little ANT signal. Underneath Homer's name is the little ANT signal. But under Nigel's name is the controller. So when I saw him come up around, I'm like, he turned himself inside out on Tuesday, but he is on controller today. So Ben takes the front. Quinton just a couple seconds back on the chase. Ben using lots of power here, 500, 600 equalized watts here, and is taking off the front. 0.4 kilometers to go. Ben is making the move. Ben is laying it down, making sure that he puts the hurt down on Quinton. He used those back-to-back power-ups. He uses his next power-up. What will Quinton say? Quinton's got 3 seconds to make up and 0.2 kilometers to go. It doesn't look like Quinton is following. He's maintaining that position. He's got Homer just a second back here. Homer comes around Quinton, and then Quinton slides back. I'm not sure if Quinton just said, you know what, I'm not here to race. I'm just here to practice. But he did put in a fight, and it was Ben who came across. Congratulations, Ben. Homer, Team Cognition, Allison's teammate right there. And then Quinton will take third. Sebastian, Nigel on controller, and Sebastian also on keyboard here. And then Timothy puts the clapping on, saying, yep, good job, Ben. He pushed it at the front. He did a lot of work. He tired out Quinton and allowed Ben to come through. Timothy, that was nice work. And then we've got Allison here in the replay here. Allison, who did race earlier in the earlier Omnium, and then Ben, who did close that gap down and overtake Quinton. For a while, it was Timothy on the front with Quinton on the chase, and then eventually he made his move with 0.4 kilometers to go. He had just a little bit more at the end. Ben, congratulations on that win.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
that's got to feel good. Did you catch your breath? Good.
I have just now, but yeah, I mean, what I said prior to the race sort of worked out quite well. And on top of that, Timothy said he was just gonna smash it off the front right from the start. And kudos to him, because that just meant I could just sit in the wheels, let the others do the work. And so Homer was doing a lot of work, and I could just sit on his wheel. And yeah, eventually I had 3 power-ups for the last sort of kilometer, and yeah, it just worked out beautifully. So super pleased. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that win going into the Sci-Fi R. Talk to me a little bit about this. You raced it earlier. Talk to me a little bit about Sci-Fi R. You've got, it's a medium skill, 2 laps, 2 Razor's Edge, and inertia and wind. How do you see those dynamics playing out?
It's well, the last race was the last time on this one was the first time I've ever raced this course, so I don't really know it that well. But it was definitely quite a sort of broken up race last time. You know, there were people off the front coming back, very small groups, quite fragmented. So it was a tricky race. One thing I didn't do well last time was I didn't use my power ups at the best time. So I know where I'm going to use them this time, and hopefully they'll be more effective. But apart from that, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens.
Well, congratulations. Good to see that teamwork with 2 of you. That was one way to tire out. That was a great tactic to send him up the front. Let's check in with Quinton. Quinton there. I saw once Ben dropped the double power-ups. That was enough for you? Didn't look like you gave him a chase.
I was kind of triggered by Timothy because he just didn't want to race. I was trying to take a pull on the front, and even when I was just trying to come by him slowly to make sure that he knows I'm trying to take a pull, he's just blocking me either way. So I think that we need to send Timothy to the doctor to check if he still has his balls.
We have to send Timothy to the doctor. Okay. All right. Well, what are we going to see in Sci-Fi R? So now that you have this perspective, we'll check Timothy's temperature in a moment, but we have this perspective. What are you going to bring? You're going to take him to the doctors in this next race?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know one thing: I'm not gonna rely on Timothy ever trying to work with or for me. So yeah, you can forget about that one.
All right. Well, these are the things that happen in the racing. I've seen Luis in Zone T and Casey duking it out, and they're like working together, and then they're not. And so it always happens in cycling where your friend is a friend of a friend of an enemy of a friend because you want the win. But I need to find out Timothy's response. The Hive Master. How do you respond to those words? Do you need to go to the doctor, Timothy?
Yeah, that's quite rude. I think it was just misunderstanding because he finally caught me. I kept pulling for a bit. I swung past, so I let him go. And for me, it seems like he didn't want to. He's saying he wanted to go slowly past me, so maybe I misinterpreted that. Because Nigel was coming back on the controller, so I was like, "Hey, let's stay away." And then for me, it looked like he didn't want to, and for him, it looked like I didn't want to. So, yeah, and then when they finally got back, I did kind of block him in, slowed him down a bit so Ben could launch. Because I was like, okay, you didn't want to work, so hey, they're back, so you fix it now. But yeah, I mean, some misinterpretation there, but yeah, it's all good.
It's all good. Sci-Fi R. You raced it earlier. You're back. You did make one mistake that I'm sure you won't repeat. What are we going to see?
Yeah, let's hope I don't make the same mistake. I mean, knowing me, I'll probably do it. But yeah, we're all in for Ben here, so we'll see how I can help him here.
Well, good luck. Just under a minute to go. All in for Ben there. Well, we've got Ben on the front of the leaderboard here, followed by Homer, then Quinton sitting in third, Christian, the velocity rider, in fourth. So Tim in fifth, who raced earlier, Frank, who's winding down the legs, in sixth, Allison, also here in seventh. So that is the leaderboard there that you see here. I do see 20,000 sparks from Glassy Bubble 355. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you for joining us in the chat here on Mixer. This is CVRcade Racing, just under 20 seconds to go. And wow, we had some fighting words there, but it seems like it just comes down to a little misunderstanding, a little miscommunication. When you're outside and you're side by side from someone, you can communicate. These guys might not be in the same channels anymore. They're not racing and being able to have conversations. So those miscommunications can happen. But let's see what happens in Sci-Fi R. Quinton takes the front. Ben takes second right now. And Allison's also in that lead pack. You're on board with Allison here. You can see the peloton. The first 10 seconds of the race, quantum shift is on. And what that means is that they can phase through one another till they get their position. And now they can bump, they can crash on this course. This is Sci-Fi R. Uncrashable is not an ability, so they can go down to Razor's Edge, which makes you aerodynamic. There is wind out on course, so sometimes the Razor's Edge is used to accelerate quickly when there's not wind, and sometimes it can be used to counteract the wind. So where they use those Razor's Edge is going to be important. There's one inertia that all of these riders have. We did see in Zone K, Tim Fulford used his inertia on the long straight of the R while he had a headwind and was able to just double down using his Razor's Edge in his inertia and pick up a gap on one lap of at the final lap with like 15 seconds. He just launched it. So I think that one of the things when you're doing CVRcade racing, it's not enough to practice. It's not enough to get in there and keyboard and learn the corner speeds. It's watching how other racers deploy their power-ups and learn how you can benefit from that, because it's better to learn the crashing vicariously, but I will tell you, you will crash. And this is one of the races here where you don't want to crash because the wind. It's going to be hard to make your way back to it. It's an 8.9 kilometer race. Right now, there's 7.7 kilometers to go. This is the third of 4 races in an Omnium. This is CVRcade Racing. If you like what you're watching, we race every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We do 3 zones each of those days, K, L, and L, K, L, and T. And what that means is the time zones, because we are worldwide. We have racers from all over the world. I can tell you it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 10 p.m. Eastern time. You'll have to get out your world clock to find out where it is. It's +5 for UTC. It's plus hours, 5 hours from that for UTC. Here you can see Quinton on the right-hand side, Ben on the left here. As Timothy said, is all for Ben in this race. Homer's in second, but Quinton is not going to let Tim get away. We did hear some from Tim and Timothy, and Quinton earlier when they were on the front of the race here, exchange some words and maybe clear the air about some misunderstanding here. But these racers here, if they were racing this zone, as Ben said, this is only his second time racing on this track, and he's going to do something different than he did in the last Omnium. So taking the learning from an hour ago and putting it back into this race here. 6.7 kilometers to go here, 1 lap down, 3 to go on Sci-Fi R. There's a helicopter view of Timothy Termont, who right now, if he finished in this position here, he would be finishing third. But they're going to bounce around a little bit here as the positions change. You can see the leaderboard is a live scoreboard. So as people's positions change, you can see how the points are jockeying around. So right now, Ben, Homer, and Quinton, 1, 2, 3. And then if Timothy is able to kind of come through some of these riders, he doesn't have to do it now, but if he did it at the end, if he can just hang on, Sebastian there, who is also riding. Is he still on keyboard here? Let's see. It does look like Sebastian is on keyboard, which is great because yesterday we did a podcast and, we were like talking about keyboard riders and he's like, I don't know about the keyboard riders. And then the Derny Cup was announced. And what's really cool is to see him out. And I really want to hear, I kind of wish he was in stream so he could tell me his reaction to what it feels like to be on keyboard, but he's on the front. Sebastian, he is team Cognition. He's got Allison, so maybe they are practicing for the Derny. I mean, this is open racing on CVRcade right now. We're in the lead up. Everybody experimenting with different things, getting ready. We're gonna have the team league on Saturday, the Derny Cup on Thursdays. So the CVRcade World Cup team event Saturdays will be Zone K, and then the Derny Cup will be on Thursday. So we are going to see all kinds of things. Now, if you're watching and you want to get into the racing, and I don't know what the prize purses are going to be, but we did see $25,000 awarded in the last season of CVRcade World Cup. So here's your opportunity coming up in the Derny races to be able to race on a keyboard. If you haven't yet got the bike, but you like the game, you're enjoying what you're seeing, you want to be a part of the action, you want to pair up with a physical rider, join the CVRcade Riders group. Oh, Quinton goes down. Oh, that's disappointing. Oh my goodness, that's a surprise too. Let's see if we have the replay on that one where he's getting him back up to speed. I'm not sure if we do have the replay here. They're digging. He comes around the outside. Was it a lane change here? That was just missed. It looked like he went one too many clicks to the right on that lane change, and that does hurt. But if anyone can come back from it, is Quinton. As I said, he is one of the most decorated racers in CVRcade, one of the top earners in the game for CVR World Cup, and has his pro license, as you also saw showing his pro skills was Tim Fulford in the earlier zones here. Both Team Cycling Hub, I did see in the chat earlier that they said Team Cycling Hub is going to be the team to beat, but we will see once we start racing the team leagues. I know that we have the team Cup is coming up. And I know that there's a lot of racers out there that are really practicing trying to get gelled with their team to try to give them a run for the money, a literal run for the money here. Let me go back and check in 4.4 kilometers to go. That's 2 down, 2 to go on this Sci-Fi R. I'm going to check in with the chat here as you watch Allison on the right-hand side of your screen, just about 6 seconds back from Nigel, who's on controller. Got Ben up there too, as well. Homer coming around. You've got Timothy on the left-hand side of your screen, just about 3 seconds back from Ben, his rider. But the physical riders, Ben, Homer, and Timothy, all together. Ben just a couple seconds up, but Nigel on the front on controller. Just had a little break from work and able to join in on controller here. So the chat in Mixer, thank you for joining us. Let's see here. Can you play this on Xbox? It does look like the mod did answer you, but yes, the answer is yes. You go to CVRcade and sign up, and they'll be giving out more links on that. It's in open beta. You can see, cool, how much does it cost? Free to play, yes. So if you are watching this and you're not reading the chat, I'm reading these so you can benefit from all of this great information that's going on in the chat. Let's see. PC, Mac, or Xbox. Yep. Mouthy, could I just follow the link to sign up? Yes, I want to create Summit Island, says DK Mansuni. There's Ben right there, the designer of Summit Island. And also people were asking like, hey, does Ben give lessons? But right now he's dropping his inertia, it looks like. Ben on the front here overtakes Nigel on keyboards, got Razor's Edge, I think. I'm not sure it was inertia. It was Razor's Edge, rather, that he dropped. Inertia is different. Inertia locks you into the speed. Razor's Edge cuts through the wind. So now Ben is on the front. He does have the lead against 2 non-physical players here. Nigel on controller and Sebastian on keyboard. And then Homer about 10 seconds back on who is a physical rider with Timothy. So Ben sitting on top of the leaderboard. This is what Timothy wanted. Homer in second, Nigel on keyboard, and then Quentin in fourth here. DK Mansuni, Submarine Spitfire says, please don't. And he was referring to create another Summit Island. Let's see this. The Derny Cup does start February 13th, and then it's February 15th for the team World Cup. Let's see. Oh, what do we have here? All right. Lots of good stuff going on in the chat. I'm trying to get caught up. I'm trying to keep on the racing. If you are enjoying the race and you want to watch us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, make sure you hit that follow button so you don't miss any of our races. We've got Team Cognition rider Allison Kubota on the left-hand side of your screen here. She is got Seb further up, her teammate, about 6 seconds up the road. Maybe they can make connection and maybe they can work together. Maybe Seb can help pull her up to Ben if they play the power-ups right. But Ben up out of the saddle, still not backing down despite having a good 13-second lead on Allison. He's not backing down. 700 equalized watts on the front, 186 on his heart rate. Ben is not backing down. Allison uses her power-up, trying to close that gap down to Sebastian. Comes within 5 seconds. She can see her teammate up the way. She brings Timothy with her. She activated that power up and she had Timothy and Homer on her wheel. Both of those riders benefiting from her power up. Maybe they will return the favor and the 3 of them can go up together. But Timothy says, nah, I'm not gonna help you guys. I'm gonna let Ben just keep on going. So, CVRcade, thank you. I appreciate the compliments here. DK Mansuni, we're happy to have you. Pink Sauce and Hey DJ and all of Mouthy Beef, all of these folks who are coming in, cheer for your racers. I'll try to call it out while I watch the racing. I so enjoy having you in the stream. I so enjoy you being a part of the broadcast. We have 1.5 kilometers to go on Sci-Fi R. All right. This is a course that hasn't been a lot in race rotation. The racers are figuring it out. And this is the opportunity in these run-up races, as you saw with Ben, who said, I'm going to use my power-ups a little bit differently this time. I raced in the earlier Omnium. I played my power-ups this way. This was the result. And now he's really tuned it in. And we do see Allison using hers like further down there. If you look on the list, you can just see that she just used her inertia, kicking her up to over 55 kph here. It's not quite enough yet to get you. She can see her teammate Sebastian up the road. It's like you can almost touch your teammate. She's going to come around the corner and she's going to see the little avatar in the distance, and she's like, teammate, hey, Sebastian, come get me and bring me back. But he is having a good time actually racing with Nigel and Sebastian at the front, mixing it up. Physical and non-physical riders. I absolutely love it here. Ben and Sebastian. Allison on the hunt, trying to close it down. Both physical riders, both on the stream. On the left-hand side, Team Cognition. On the right-hand side, Team Hive rider. Ben, 0.4 kilometers to go. Nigel, Sebastian, both non-physical on the front. And Ben coming around here with 0.3 kilometers to go here. So if the race positions are as they are, Ben will remain on the top. Homer will be in second. We do have Nigel there on the leaderboard in third. But again, he is just kind of popping in on a keyboard, experimenting, trying things out. Right now, there is no money on the line. This is just a lead-up race to the World Cup. But it does kind of show us sort of how these racers might ride. But Nigel comes across the line, but Ben is our first physical rider to come across the line, up out of the saddle, digging in and finishing behind Sebastian, who is on keyboard. Ben, congratulations. Well-fought race. He had like a 15-second lead and he still was drilling it. Okay, and Timothy uses his power-up. Razor does at the end. And does he come across the line before? Oh, so close. It did, like it was literally like a fraction of just like a wheel depth there. And then Allison Kubota, Team Cognition as well. We are going to be coming in to Summit Island by Ben. But first, let's take a look at the replay. This was Timothy and Quinton. After a little bit of an exchange of words from the previous race, a little get your temperature checked, Timothy. Quinton, you might have misunderstood me, said Timothy. A little bit of sauce, a little bit of spice, a little bit of duking it out. From those former teammates, little miscommunication, but I think they sorted it out. Timothy said, I am going to make this all about Ben, full send. Ben completely dug in, played his power-ups a little bit differently. And if he's caught his breath, I will check in with Ben. Ben, are you able to share some words here about that race?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic race, Timothy and I think we did some nice turns on the front. We shared the work a little bit, and then I just had some good legs. So with 2 laps to go, sort of halfway around the penultimate lap, I said to Tim, I'm going to go for it on the long straight, so I went for it, and I just used up all my power-ups to try and just get that gap and sort of break the elastic, and break the chaser's spirits, sort of thing. If someone can see you and they're only a few seconds behind, they're more likely to push harder than if they're 20 seconds behind. So that was the idea, and then hold that gap for the last lap. So that worked out well. It was always tough, going to try and beat the people on keyboards and controllers, but I'm super pleased. Tim and I first and second with the physical riding. So can't really say much more than that. It went really well.
Well, yeah, and you talk about that psychological edge, and now we go into I'll only keep you for 10 more seconds or so, going into Summit Island here. You are the masochist who designed this track.
That's right.
Are you wishing you could flatten out that finish line right about now?
Sort of. Especially for 3 laps, it's tough. At the end of a double omnium, But I think one thing that was in the back of my mind on the previous race was, if I can get a decent lead, then I've got that buffer on this race, and I'll keep an eye on the leaderboard. And if I can afford to let someone go because they're not a threat on the leaderboard, I might just do that.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I'll let you get back into the mindset of racing. Just under 3 minutes ago. Congratulations, Ben. Let's check in with Quinton. I'm curious to hear. Has the air been cleared? Is the miscommunication sorted, Quinton? Oh, it does look like he might be frozen up. That is okay. We will check back in with Quinton at the end. We saw Allison. We saw Sebastian on keyboard. Again, I wish that Sebastian was in, he was in the last race racing physically today. This Omnium he's in on a keyboard, which is pretty great. Let's go ahead and check in with Timothy. Timothy, I see you're texting there. Ordering your pizza. You going to order your pizza? I always think anyone's texting.
Oh, I wish. No. I swear it's not. No, just text me. This last one, there's not much I can do for Ben here, so I got him the leads. It's up to him to finish this off, but I'm 100% sure he will. Has a nice lead. What is that, like 23 points lead? So yeah, that's a nice cushion. I think Homer's the real threat here, so I'll stick with Homer for as long as I can, but it's not going to be long because he's a beast on this one.
He is a beast on this one, and Timothy, you know that Homer does like 12 Omniums a week, and so that's a good wheel to follow. I sometimes think I can hang
try
on
and follow.
Yeah, totally. Well, good luck, Timothy.
Thank
Just
you.
over a minute to go. I'm going to check in here with the chat. It says, "Let's go, Homer." CVRcade mod says this. Homer, second overall from Luis. Summit Islands is one of my favorite tracks, and he said you might take the Omnium. So Homer, if you're listening to the broadcast, Luis has given you a lot of love out there. DK Mansuni says, Ben, be my track building mentor. You have somebody, and I think we do need to get Ben on the podcast. He's been on a podcast before talking about one of the newer, I think it's Metropolis that he built, and we haven't seen that come into race rotation, but hopefully we'll be able to see that come in. Fog 7's back in. Thank you for the sparks, everybody, and the glassy bubbles. Thank you for the sparks. Thank you so much. Tay Fearless in the chat. Sebastian, think I'll sell my trainer and change to keyboard racing. LOL. That's the feedback I wanted. Thank you, Sebastian. Well, I hope you didn't break your trainer in the last race. That was when you ever took your headphones off and got off your bike and you're going down the hill. I'm like, well, is Avatar still moving? It was kind of a good time to try to fix it. But here we go. 10 seconds to go. Thank you for joining us in the Mixer chat. If I didn't read your comment, I'm sorry. I really want to try to get to all of them because we so appreciate you watching the broadcast. We appreciate you cheering on our racers here. But Sebastian, who has come around to the keyboard racing and says he might sell his trainer. I don't believe that he's going to sell his trainer for a minute, but I do think he understands maybe that the Journey racing can be a totally new thing, unexplored territory, as we were saying in the podcast. Who knows how it'll turn out? We have to test it, but it'll be a lot of fun, and that starts on February 13th, according to our mod here in the chat. Okay, so Ben on the front. No surprise, he wants the win. Timothy with him to help protect him, help cover him. But Allison and Homer, the Team Cognition riders, also here with Sebastian. So Allison, Homer, and Sebastian, if they can be organized, they can be a big threat to Ben and Timothy. So that is the biggest threat I see right now. Christian, Team Velocity is also in here. He's been popping in and out here in the mid pack here. Christian, it's great to see you in here. We hope to get you streaming in one of these times here too. Nigel on keyboard. Nigel did say insert Nigel's dance move, because what's one of the things that we didn't get a chance to see is Nigel's celebration, because he's usually on the stream. So I wonder if his celebration move would be different on a keyboard. But as Luis had said, as others said, oh, Timothy goes down. Oh, that's painful. Homer is a beast on this course. So Homer and Ben here, 1 and 2, within 1 second of each other on the front of the race. Allison right there along with him. There's the replay there of Timothy going down here. Ben on the front, looks focused, looks quite relaxed, actually. We did have, I don't know, Ben, let's just, whoa, Sebastian goes down, but he's on a keyboard. That's all right. I'm just watching those exclamation points on the right-hand side of my screen. I can't help. So when I'm watching the racers, I'm watching the road, my racing mind is always watching what's going on in the right-hand side. So when I see those yellow exclamation points, when you see those yellow exclamation points, you know that's when a racer has gone down. So even if we're not seeing the crash on screen, you're able to know what is happening here. 5.3 kilometers to go. It is 3 laps on Summit Island. And what we did see Allison do on Summit Island, I'd love to see Allison and Vibeke on this course race against with Homer, Sebastian. So I would love to see, because we race globally and across the zones, we see different racers that aren't always together in the same racing. But what Allison did in the last zone on this race, I would love to put her against Vibeke and see, because both of those women are just like, those racers just like kill it on this course here. But Homer also on the front, giving Ben a run for his money. 8-second gap here. Sorry, I lost my voice there. But Homer killing it. Ben, Allison, Sebastian, Christian making his way up to 5th place because of that crash here. Ben up out of the saddle, trying to make up some time here, but Homer is drilling it on the front here. 525 equalized watts, 190 on the heart rate. I did see on CVRcade Riders that Homer was riding in one of Kayla's classes. If you missed the announcement, you could have. There really was an announcement. It was just like Kayla added her classes, which was awesome, and Homer went out and did it. But with the Journey Cup being announced, with the team practice, it kind of got lost in the mix. So if you haven't joined one of Kayla's classes, she is running onboarding and rider simulation, racing simulation rides on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays on the off days of CVRcade Racing. So if you want to get in, you want to get some practice, heck, do it on a keyboard. Join Kayla in her classes. That's what Homer does. And right now, I like to think, like that Homer has a chance to practice a lot of tactics. He's one of my favorite people. I enjoy riding with him, and he's actually just gone off into the sunset, making Ben chase. It doesn't look like on the scoreboard it's going to make a difference, because Ben has enough points over the course of the Omnium. But let's see, if Allison finishes in front of Homer, I think he's going to be okay here. It does look like, I don't want to kill the drama here, but I'm trying to do the math, and I'm trying to get better at that. Like, okay, how many points are someone to pick up? 2.5 time multiplier, plus the points for the different positions here. And it does look like the keyboard riders, the non-physical riders, are not affecting the front 1, 2, 3 here in the scoreboard. But Homer drilling it on the front, 45 kph. Allison trying to get up to her teammate here and see if they can't maybe work some team tactics in this run-up racing. It is practice after all. We haven't seen any, I'm going to say this, I don't want to give her the commentator course. We haven't seen any real mistakes except for one of Timothy's crashes on this course here, Summit Island, by Ben, who's designed it, knows how to race it. Let's check in here with our chat here. Fog 7 more, 1,500 sparks. Thank you. I might have already said that. Glassy Bubbles 500. Man, this is great. I really appreciate all of this stuff. DK Mansuni again. Timothy got a crash fest. Yes, he did. 60,000 sparks. Sector 1952. Luis says, "Go Allison." Wow, gosh, thanks for the love out there. All right, Nigel had to leave. Time for work. Back riding physical later in zone T. Homer, I will see you. Nigel, I will see you then. Let's see. Jesper math. Thank you. That's right. It's Jesper math. It's commentator math. We're trying to watch these numbers bounce on the screen. We're trying to cover all the action. It's impossible. But we do have our pen and paper and our fast math carry the 1 times 2. This is really fun. It says, don't blow a gasket, Ben and Allison. Fogg says, Tay Fearless. Yes, Cam, join my classes and have some fun. So Tay Fearless also in the chat saying, join the classes and learn from one of the best racers on CVRcade, Kayla Laguna, one of the not only the fiercest competitors, the tactician, and also couldn't be kinder and more welcoming and approachable in the sense if you're new to the game, she really has a great way of walking you through and being super helpful to help you learn the game. So 2.4 kilometers to go on this 2.5 multiplier course, 1 weight lifted, 1 wind at your back, 3 laps Summit Island, and it is deceiving. 6.9 kilometers doesn't seem like a lot, but let me tell you, when you've got this 12% climb at the end, you've got, oh my gosh, it feels like you're like going backwards up the climb here because you were so digging in. You can see the physical effort here of Allison coming up over the top there. This is her second time on Summit Island. She's got 1 more to do on this, and she's just holding Ben off here. Absolutely killing it here. Allison knows how to race Summit Island. She actually did a brilliant thing on the last Omnium. She held off Tim Fulford. She knew that he had his power-ups. She used hers at a particular time, knowing that he had hers. She was able to get enough of a gap and hold it. So brilliant racing by Allison. So it's not just about having the mental strength to just gut this out, because that's what it comes about. It is mentally grueling to ask of your legs to bring its best. And again, we talk about physical equalization. You're welcome, DK Mansuni. I'm giving you more physical equalization talk. When you talk about that, right, you have to consistently go to the well and dig deep and dig deep and dig deep. And that takes a lot of mental energy. You have to want it. You have to really want to just keep going to that deep digging place here. Ben up out of the saddle, using a power up there, trying to make up some ground to get a little bit further ahead, practicing different moves. Right now, he doesn't need to change his position in the peloton. He's on the top of the leaderboard, but he's practicing. He's finessing things. He's learning how he might want to race this course. You saw him race a back-to-back Omnium, and he's winning the second Omnium. In Tuesday's racing, he raced in the team experimental league. We did a little head-to-head racing, just the Velocity team did against Team Hive. And so he brought it on Tuesday, had 1 day of recovery, is bringing it back. That is the mental toughness that is required. And Homer, who we know, we see him in the stream. We'll probably see him tonight in Zone T. I can bet you we will. And he will bring it again. He probably raced Zone E, Zone L, and then Zone T today. We only broadcast K, L, and T, but I'm sure he usually does E in the morning, racing 3 times a day and killing it on Summit Island. Homer has 0.4 kilometers to go, but on board with Allison. She's got 10 seconds to make up. I don't think she's going to be able to catch Homer at this point. And then Ben up out of the saddle here, just completely killing it. The pink kit is going to turn into a yellow kit. Homer drops his power up, seals the deal, says, no, you're not going to get to me. Allison drops her power up, 14 seconds, 0.2 kilometers to go on Summit Island. The conclusion of Zone L, 2.5 multiplier here. You can see Homer. I'm just visualizing, if you've seen Homer race, he's got the hair and he's flowing, and he's such a character, and he's always smiling. And then Allison with her fierce arrow helmet and skin suit, the characters that are on screen, the streamers that come in and share a part of themselves is just so amazing. Congratulations, Homer, as you come across the line. I'm cheering for you, and I'm visualizing your supermodel fan and your hair blowing in the wind. And then Allison comes across the line, beasting it 2 for 2 here. Second place, first place in the earlier Omnium, beasting it up the climb. Congratulations, Allison. Massive effort. Third place for the Omnium. Homer, second step. And then here comes Ben on the final stretch. His strategy, he said, was to get as many points earlier. He knew it was a back-to-back Omnium. He wanted to finish as high as he could in Summit Island, and that's what he did. But he earned enough points in the earlier ones where he could still finish third in this race, but not have to take it and have that pressure, because going into the fourth race on an Omnium and to Summit Islands is a lot of pressure to try to pick up points. So he front-loaded his points. He was able to maintain the top step, and he comes across the line third for the race, first for the Omnium. Congratulations to Ben, Team Hive. So Allison, Team Cognition, takes the top spot. Ben takes the second spot on, takes the third spot on this race. And here is Timothy through the chicane, knowing this was for Ben's race, back-to-back Omniums, just kind of spinning out the legs, using that last power-up. Let me tell you, cooling down on Summit Island is like, you're going to change a track once you cross that finish line, I'm sure, Timothy, or just cruise right down the hill. That's what I would do. Christian's still out on course ahead of Timothy. Christian, the velocity rider, awesome to see you. So here's the replay here of Summit Island. You can see the weight lifted there, that power up being displayed by Allison, coming up the final climb here on Summit Islands, designed by Ben, who does take the Omnium here. Allison absolutely beasting it. We've got Homer and Allison crushed it, says Luis in the chat. Thanks again for being in the chat. Tay Fearless, way to go, Allison. The mod is saying congratulations to Ben and to Team Hive. Way to go, Homer and Allison. Lots of love. Fog7 says Homer hides early and then bam is there at the end of the Omnium. It is so cool. Allison can suffer. I agree with you. Welcome, Josie Beast. It's good to have you. Hey, Cook Dress, thank you for the sparks. Super sweet. Happy to have you in here as we watch. Hey, Ben, congratulations.
Thank you.
You did it right. You said you were going to save some. You wanted to front load your points, so you did it just right, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? I'm glad I did, because I was super tired in that one, and fair play. Homer just never saw him again once he went off the front, and Allison is really putting in some strong performances. So fair play. They really raced well there. So yeah, pleased I had the buffer. It worked out all right. I just had to keep my third place for the win. So yeah, super pleased. It's been a great couple of Omniums on the whole. So yeah, we're getting there as a team. I think making some strides.
I think that's great. Now, I imagine I won't see you at 3 o'clock in the morning for Zone T. I might see Timothy and Jennifer, Team Hive, the busy bees. I'm going to try to find every cliche, and then I'll say it again. You'll be like, oh, there she goes again. But congratulations. Congratulations, Ben. Allison and Homer are beasts. I hope you get some recovery, and we see you on Saturday.
Yeah, it should do. Yeah.
Fantastic. We had Sebastian in on keyboard. We had Timothy Termont. Hey, Timothy, it seems like the team is gelling. You put your team at the front there. Congratulations to you for fifth. We've got the replays going. Any words from the Team Hive Master?
I'm really happy that Ben was able to finish that, because first corner downhill, I think it was messed up already. So yeah, I helped him for a full downhill, and then it was on his own. So great job by him for finishing that off. Yeah, we talked about it before. We knew Homer and Allison were gonna just smash it, and that's why, without doing quick maths, we just went to the front, got Ben in third position. And then we checked the score when Homer was at the front, and then we knew, okay, even if he's third, he's still winning the Omnium. Just got to keep Sebastian off. And that's what he did. Amazing job. So yeah, there's one way to do, instead of doing quick maths, just emulate the score in the game, and then you can quickly see it on the scoreboard during the race.
I think that's what I must have done, because you know us commentators with math, we're a little. Well, congratulations to Team High. We're going to continue on
Thank you.
with these highlights. Okay, so we saw the first race, the first Omnium here. That's Tim finishing Roman Arena here, who said he was going to do the bot patrol, but he did not do the bot patrol, and he raced. He gave everybody a run for his money, from the money on. There's no real money on this one. That's for the World Cup, but it's an expression here. We had Jesper there at the front giving him a little bit of pressure. It was Timothy and Tim there for a while on Sci-Fi R, but it was a move by Tim on one of the straights on the second to the last lap, where he was able to drop the inertia and his wind and razor blade and cut through and get up to speed, up to, I think it was 65 kph, and really open up the gap, and then really put the racers behind him on offense, where we saw Timothy make a mistake, forcing a mistake of his competitors, trying to make it up. It was Timothy and Quinton in the front, with Timothy and Ben trying to make up time in the chase group. So we had two teammates versus two teammates, and it did end up being Cycling Hub that came across the line first. And then Jesper, who also raced in the zone. He's usually on the mic, but he was able to take a chance on the bike today. We also had Frank in on the racing on Summit Island, racing Zone K, cooling down in Zone L. Jennifer Garcia also in the mix. I wasn't able to hear from the Queen Bee because of a little audio issue, but it was great to have her in the broadcast. It was Allison who did just absolutely beast it out on Summit Island. She was being chased by Tim. She had Sebastian, who had a mechanical error where he actually stepped off his bike. There he is. Was going down the hill, so he didn't lose a ton of time. Tighten that skewer. I'm just assuming that's what he's doing. I've done that too, where I've had the skewer come loose, but he was beasting. He was able to come back within 2 seconds of Tim with the use of power-ups and getting up that climb. And at the very end, Tim played his power-ups, but didn't have enough road to close it down. He did have a speed differential. There's me holding my head because I was like, oh my God, she did it. Allison was able to hold off Tim, despite him having those power-ups in his pocket, which was pretty amazing. And then we went to Zone L for the finish here. So for the first race, it was Zone L. Timothy Termont here. He was off the back by a couple seconds. He dropped his comeback kid. He came flying through the peloton. Tim recognized that, was ready for it, popped his comeback kid, and then was able to accelerate through. There wasn't enough road for him to hold it, and came around, and Timothy slipped down to 5th or 6th in that. Then it was back onto Roman Arena. We had some duking it out on the front on the bike here between the two former members. We had Ben also in the racing here in the second Omnium, trying to protect himself on that top spot, and Allison, who's doing back-to-back Omniums. I did see in the chat, I didn't read it out loud, but it said she's going really deep, and I bet a taper is coming for some in real life races, and that she's going to kill it. I think I agree with you, Fog7. She has some in real life races as well. This is beyond good training for those real life races. It was Ben who used those power-ups on Roman Arena to take the race on Roman Arena. Easy for me to say. And you can see him like, yes, number one. Then in Zone L, after coming off that race there where we had a miscommunication between Timothy and Quinton, where Quinton said Timothy needed to go to the doctor, and Timothy said, wait, maybe we misunderstood each other. And then they were racing on Sci-Fi R. This is one of those courses that is surprisingly technical, and also surprisingly it has a little bit of a climb in it, and it hasn't been in heavy race rotation, so riders were trying different things. Ben actually had a lot of success in Zone L on this race because he took what he learned from Zone K and brought it into Zone L, and he played his power-ups a little bit different. He was able to watch what the other racers did, and emulated those things that we saw for success. We saw what Tim Fulford said, this is where you use the power up, and that's what Ben did in that race there. So then we went to Summit Island, tired, legs, tired racers. But one mistake early by Timothy there, wasn't able to help Ben through the 3 laps. And of all the races, it's not a long course where you can benefit from the draft. There's these steep climbs and these descents, and it's really hard to stay together. So this is one where there's attacks and there's moves and there's a strategy and the use of the power-ups. And those gaps can open up really quickly because of the stretchy effect of someone's going on a descent and picking up speed while someone is still climbing. So if you miss the front group, if you have a little bit of a gap, it grows very quickly because of these really steep climbs. But we did see Homer absolutely beast at Team Cognition. Homer, this is his course. I think I'd have to say like 9 out of 10 times it's Homer. If he's on this course, he's going to win this course. It's so great to see Team Cognition, Homer and Allison, 2 and 3 on the step. We had Luis in the broadcast, in the chat, cheering them on in earlier omniums. I love the team support in the chat. I love all of you on Mixer being in the chat. Homer the Hammer, treating the other racers like it's a nail. I'm going to say that Homer the Hammer. Nigel put something in there earlier too. Nigel the Nightmare, and he had a keyboard celebration. So this is really a really great. Oh, cool. Drifts 100 Sparks. Thank you so much. Every race counts. The scoring works really well. Thank you, Fog7. We had a lot of new faces, a lot of new names here. Glassy Bubbles for more, Sector for more. But oh, thank you so much for all the sparks. Super Mafioso, 100 sparks. Thank you so much. I'm trying to make sure I give a shout out because we sure do appreciate you being in the broadcast. Enrico Schenk, yes, German is here. Again, thank you so much for those, Enrico, those sparks. Whoa, more. Thank you. Woo! I love it. I've got a fire call. I'll be back. Sector 152. Come back tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern and watch Zone T. This is CVRcade lead up to the World Cup racing. The teams are starting on Saturday in a couple weeks. Derny racing. So much to talk about. Go to CVRcade Riders. Watch the podcast, find out what's going on. Follow us here on Mixer, and we will see you in just a few hours for more great racing on CVRcade. Thank you for watching.
But no, Beth, yours goes crashing down. Determination, the suffering, the ability to... And she's unleashed everything in this attack. See just how much that win means to him. All the marbles. Kayla versus Allison, and to the line. Kayla Laguna takes the victory.